everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of iChan's Eye. I'm your host. Every week, I'll bring you a clear, balanced, and neutral summary of the world's major news stories. This show focuses on facts, background, and a middle ground perspective, without leaning to the right or the left. If you want to improve your English while staying informed about global news, this is the perfect program for you. Now let's take a look at the top stories from around the world this past week. The Trump administration has released a new U.S. national security strategy that delivers a stark warning to Europe. The document says that Europe could face what it calls civilizational erasure if current trends continue. It questions whether some European countries will remain strong enough to be reliable U.S. allies in the future. The strategy criticizes Europe's migration policies, declining birth rates, and what it calls a loss of national identity. At the same time, it praises the rise of what it describes as patriotic political movements. German officials responded quickly, rejecting what they called outside political interference. The strategy also signals a major shift in U.S. military priorities. Washington says it will shift more military forces toward the Western Hemisphere and the Western Pacific, strengthen its presence near China, and push allies such as Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan to increase defense spending. Ending the war in Ukraine is listed as a core U.S. interest. Meanwhile, the South China Sea and Taiwan are identified as major future flashpoints. Now let's move from Washington to Moscow and New Delhi. Russian President Vladimir Putin has just wrapped up a high-profile visit to India, marked by grand ceremony but few major breakthrough agreements. He was welcomed with full honors by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, held official talks, attended a business forum, and announced the launch of Russia Today's new India operation. While the visit sent a strong political message amid Russia's continued isolation over the Ukraine war, there were no major new defense deals, and no clear agreement on India's continued purchase of discounted Russian oil. Oil remains a sensitive issue. The United States is pressing India to reduce its purchases of Russian energy, while Russia is eager to keep those sales flowing. Instead, the focus of the visit shifted to trade. Both countries pledged to expand cooperation in shipbuilding, nuclear energy, minerals, pharmaceuticals, shipping, and visa-free travel. They also reaffirmed a long-term goal of reaching $100 billion in annual bilateral trade. Behind closed doors, sensitive defense and geopolitical issues were likely discussed even as public statements focused mainly on economics. From modern geopolitics, we now turn to an extraordinary discovery from the ancient world. Archaeologists in Egypt have made a rare and remarkable discovery inside a royal tomb in the ancient city of Tanis. They uncovered 225 funerary figurines, known as ushabti, arranged in pristine condition, the first such royal find of this kind since 1946. Even more importantly, the discovery has solved a long-standing archaeological mystery. The small green figurines were meant to serve the dead in the afterlife. Surprisingly, more than half of them are female, something highly unusual for royal tombs. Royal symbols on the figurines revealed that the tomb belonged to Pharaoh Shoshenq III, who ruled nearly 3,000 years ago. This came as a surprise because another tomb at the same site already carries his name. Experts now believe political chaos, possible civil conflict, or tomb looting may explain why he was buried elsewhere. Egyptian officials say the discovery proves that Tanis still holds many secrets, and more important discoveries may lie ahead. Next, we move to Hong Kong, where a deadly tragedy has become a major political flashpoint. A deadly fire in Hong Kong that killed at least 159 people has triggered a major political controversy. A university student named Miles Kwan was arrested after he launched a public petition demanding accountability for the disaster. The petition was created just days after the fire tore through a crowded housing estate in Tai Po. It gathered more than 10,000 signatures in less than 24 hours before it was taken down. Kwan was later arrested by National Security Police on suspicion of sedition and was released on bail. Authorities say they are determined to prevent the tragedy from being exploited to threaten national security. Meanwhile, critics argue that the arrest reflects tighter political control and shrinking space for public dissent. Public anger remains high. Residents are demanding answers about why the fire spread so quickly and who should be held responsible. So far, 15 people have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter, and multiple safety failures are under investigation. Now we turn to Beijing, where rising global trade tensions were at the center of high-level diplomacy. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that the global order risks disintegration during high-level talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Trade tensions between China and Europe continue to rise, and Macron stressed the urgent need for dialogue and effective multilateral cooperation. He said current economic imbalances between China and Europe are becoming unsustainable and could lead to a major crisis if not corrected. Macron also warned that a full-scale trade war would be the worst possible outcome. Xi Jinping expressed support for multilateralism, but urged France to resist outside interference in China-Europe relations, a subtle reference to U.S. influence. Both leaders agreed to deepen cooperation in areas such as aerospace, nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, and biopharmaceuticals. They also discussed rare earth export controls, Ukraine, and growing trade disputes between China and the European Union. Despite rising tensions, both sides signaled that they still want to keep economic ties moving forward. From diplomacy, we now shift to Europe's growing military transformation. Germany's parliament has approved a new voluntary military service program for 18-year-olds, marking a major shift in the country's defense policy after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Beginning in 2026, all 18-year-olds will receive a questionnaire asking if they are willing to serve. It will be mandatory for men and voluntary for women. Starting in 2027, all young men will also be required to take a medical fitness exam, allowing the military to mobilize quickly during a crisis. Chancellor Friedrich Merz says the goal is to rebuild Germany's armed forces into Europe's strongest conventional army. The government plans to expand the Bundeswehr from about 182,000 troops to 260,000, supported by 200,000 reservists. Monthly pay for volunteers will be around €2,600. Students across Germany are protesting the move, arguing that it promotes militarization and offers little future opportunity. For now, the service remains voluntary, but compulsory military service could return if security conditions worsen. Next, we head to the United Kingdom, where pressure on Russia and political tensions at home are rising at the same time. British ministers are reportedly preparing plans to transfer £8 billion of frozen Russian assets to help fund Ukraine's war effort. According to The Times, this could be part of a larger international deal that might unlock up to £100 billion if the UK coordinates with the EU, Canada, and other allies. At the same time, a public inquiry into the 2018 Novichok nerve agent attack in Salisbury has concluded that Russian President Vladimir Putin was morally responsible for the death of Dawn Sturgis, who was accidentally poisoned. Domestic politics in the UK are also heating up. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy says Brexit has badly damaged the British economy and that closer EU trade ties could boost growth. In addition, new allegations of racist and anti-Semitic behavior have been made against Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, which he strongly denies. Together, these stories highlight rising pressure on Russia abroad and growing political divisions at home. Now we move to Australia, where a world-first internet policy is about to take effect. Australia is about to become the first country in the world to fully ban social media for users under the age of 16. The law will take effect on December 10th. Even before the law officially begins, Meta has already started deactivating thousands of underage accounts on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Other platforms including TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube have also agreed to comply. Australia's e-safety commissioner says this marks a global tipping point, arguing that social media platforms use powerful design features that even adults struggle to resist, leaving children particularly vulnerable. About 96% of Australian teenagers under 16 currently use social media. Parents have largely welcomed the move, citing concerns over mental health and online pressure. The law includes fines of up to $49.5 million Australian dollars for companies that fail to comply. Governments around the world are watching closely. Australia's decision could become a global model for future internet regulation. Next, we turn to Japan, where a long and painful legal case has reached a deeply emotional moment. The man who killed former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has apologized to Abe's family for the first time in court. Tetsuya Yamagami, who has already pleaded guilty to murder, told the court he was deeply sorry to Abe's widow Aki Abe and said he had caused the family years of suffering. Abe was shot with a homemade gun during an election campaign speech in Nara in July 2022, and later died in hospital. The killing shocked Japan and the world. Yamagami said he targeted Abe because he believed the former prime minister had ties to the Unification Church, which he blamed for having financially ruined his mother and family. The case triggered a nationwide investigation into the church. Earlier this year, a Tokyo court ordered the group to be disbanded. Abe's widow said in a statement that the pain of losing her husband would never fade. And now East Asia again, where culture, politics, and power are colliding. China has begun targeting Japanese pop culture in a new wave of retaliation after political tensions flared over Taiwan, following comments by Japan's prime minister suggesting that Tokyo could intervene if China attacked Taiwan. Beijing moved beyond economic pressure and into the cultural arena. Chinese authorities have canceled concerts by Japanese singers, halted the release of Japanese movies, and scrapped anime festivals. In one dramatic case, a Japanese pop star was forced to perform in a 14,000-seat arena, completely empty after authorities shut down ticket sales. China had already urged its citizens to avoid traveling to Japan, restricted Japanese seafood imports, and stepped up military patrols in disputed waters. Now, Japan's prized cultural exports, J-pop and anime, are also being used as political leverage. Analysts say Beijing is sending a visible message to its own public using soft power pressure that causes minimal economic damage. Japanese artists now fear the standoff could drag on, threatening an increasingly important market for their industry. And finally, we reflect on one of Asia's most dramatic democratic moments of the past year. This week, South Korea marked 1 year since it narrowly avoided a return to martial law, a moment now seen as a powerful test of the country's democratic resilience. President Lee Jae-myung praised ordinary citizens for rushing to defend parliament last year, after then-President Yoon Suk-yeol suddenly declared martial law and ordered troops to the National Assembly. Lawmakers moved quickly and successfully overturned the decree within hours, forcing Yoon to back down. Since then, Yoon has been arrested, impeached, and formally indicted on charges including insurrection and abuse of power. More than a dozen senior military and government officials have also been charged for their roles in the failed power grab. Major reforms have followed. Laws governing martial law have been tightened, military access to parliament has been restricted, and new rules are now being drafted to allow public officials to refuse illegal orders. While public trust in institutions is slowly recovering, political divisions have also deepened. President Lee says accountability is essential, but he warns that unity cannot be built by simply forgetting what happened. Internationally, the crisis damaged South Korea's reputation as a stable democracy and strained relations with key allies, including the United States. Now, President Lee says he hopes South Korea's recovery will become a global example of democratic restoration. And finally, as we reflect on all of this week's global events, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And that wraps up this week's edition of iChan's Eye. From global security strategy and great power diplomacy to social media regulation, cultural conflict, archaeology, and justice in Japan, and the powerful lessons coming from South Korea's democratic struggle. This week's stories remind us just how closely connected our world truly is. Across continents, we are seeing tension, conflict, and uncertainty. But at the same time, we are also seeing citizens defend democracy, nations seek dialogue over confrontation, and people everywhere striving for stability and dignity. World peace does not begin only with governments or military power. It begins with accountability, transparency, respect for human life, and the everyday choices made by individuals and societies. History shows us that peace is never simply given. It is built, protected, and renewed again and again through effort, courage, and cooperation. Here on iChan's Eye, we will continue to share global stories not only to inform, but also to encourage understanding across borders, cultures, and political differences. Thank you for watching the very first episode of iChan's Eye. If you found this program meaningful, please like, subscribe, and join me again next week as we continue to look at our world, clearly, calmly, and with a shared hope for peace. I'm I. See you next time.